So, when it comes to the Godforge Alpha Taverns, we know that there is going to be a competition in Wave 3. So the last thing that you want to do is make a bunch of mistakes that are going to potentially hamstring your progress. I'm going to break down my top 5 mistakes to avoid in the Godforge Alpha experience. Some of them I made myself. Because of this video, hopefully you won't. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hello there everyone, Ragewood here, back with another Godforge video. And yes, we're going to go over the top mistakes for you to avoid to not hamper your progress when it comes to the cavern. So a couple of them I have done myself, others I have not, partly because they're not actually working in this Alpha Wave 1. So, what is the first mistake, probably the number one thing that you need to avoid doing? And that is letting your hero roster fill up. So, I'm not quite at that point yet. I'm quite good at managing. But there might come a point where you will go to start a floor, a wave, and you'll get a pop-up saying that your roster is almost full. Are you sure you want to continue? When that pops up, it means you've got less than 10 spaces available in your roster. And why is that important? Well, because any heroes that you do get when your roster is full turn into imprints automatically. Now, a lot of people have said, oh, they're really unlucky because they weren't getting the legendary drops, blah, blah, blah. Well, click your Anvil of Creation and you might find them sat in here. Now, Ra is one of 2 heroes that I do not have on this account in this first Alpha Wave. And that is because at some point I did get him, but I was full, likely from an overnight farm, I imagine. So he is now sat as an imprint in my roster. Do not make this mistake. I've seen so many people in the Discord share images of tons of legendary imprints, multiple hells, things like that. Looking at you, Mr. Sneaky. Which could have been characters on your roster. Now, if you've got everyone Awakened 5, it doesn't matter. But yes, stay on top of your roster. The nice thing is Simon showed in the Discord that they're actually bringing a hero crunch thing. I'll put the video in the background for Alpha Wave 2 to help alleviate this, because a lot of the problems we were getting is there was no way to crunch heroes, and if you didn't have enough spirits you couldn't level people up, so it did become a bit of an issue. However, that's hopefully going to be solved in this one. But yes, mistake number 1 to avoid: keep your roster clean. Now, mistake number 2 only really applies if you're overnight farming. If you're playing during the day, you've just got it on in the background at work, it still applies to you here. And that is farming gear. This is something that I've done and that a very good friend of mine never also did, but we did it in different stages. So, if you are farming gear and you're farming it overnight, the biggest thing I can suggest is to farm a boss stage. Now, the boss stages really are going to have to be from 90 or below, because the boss stages after that don't drop gear. But if we take a look at the reward previews, the armor drops can be rare, epic and legendary, and you'll get a selection of everything. You'll get helmets, chest plates, pauldrons, gauntlets, legs from these sets. Now, the mistake that me and Never did is never farmed 87, because that was like the highest he could clear at the point, and I was clearing, I think it was like 81, something like that. When I woke up in the morning, I had a shitload of helmets and nothing else. Why? Because the floors that end in 1 only drop helmets. Now, farming 81 might not be a bad one, because you've got some Falcon speed sets here, but Never woke up with a load of boots. And actually, it didn't help either of us. I think there's probably more people that have done something similar. Now, if you need boots, for example, and you're farming during the day, you can keep an eye on it. Maybe after a few hundred energy or stamina energy, you can stop, you can then jump into 86, work on getting some legs, then 84 for some gloves, etc, etc. But if you're disappearing from your game for a long period of time, as I say, farm the boss floors for a bit of variety, unless you are only missing one specific thing. Now, I have gone through and cleansed my helmets out now, but yes, I have an awful lot more of them than I do any other gear because I farmed that one floor. So yeah, mistake number 2, if you're farming for a long period of time and you're not keeping an eye on it, farm the boss stages for a selection of gear, unless you only need boots, in which case then go to the specific floor. Mistake number 3 also links to gear, and that is don't heavily invest in shit. I think that's obvious, but the way Godforge have done things is slightly different to a lot of other games that I've played when it comes to gearing. Now, most people are used to seeing 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, that kind of thing, as a way of defining a quality or how good a piece of gear is. Godforge and Fateless have done it different. I do actually like it, to be fair, but instead we have Roman numerals at the top here for our stars, as well as the title. So 1-star is known as damaged gear, 2-star is crude, 3-star is superior, 4-star is flawless, and then 5-star being masterwork. Now, whether this is going to change in the alphas, we don't know, but it doesn't matter if you max a 5-star epic piece or a 1-star epic piece, it costs the same. That's right, it costs the same amount of money or gold to take this to 12 as it did this piece to 12. Here's the difference though. My 4-star piece, they're both flat defense, is giving me 90 more defense for the same amount of gold. So early on in the you will get some 1 and 2-star pieces, and you'll only start getting your 3s, 4s, 5s as you progress down into the cavern. My advice would be, unless you absolutely have to, don't take some of the shit pieces beyond 8. 12 if you must. Do not max it. It is such a waste of coin. It will cost you millions, especially for epic and legendary pieces. 12 to 16 can be upwards of 2 million on legendary pieces, and it is such a waste when, you know, I could take a 4-star piece to level 4, maybe 8, and get more flat defense than this piece here. In fact, do you know what? Let's find a flat defense piece. There we go. Yep, level 8 takes me beyond what that level 12 1-star piece was. So yeah, tip number 3, mistake to avoid. Don't invest in shitty 1-star, 2-star gear too heavily. Tip number 4. Now, this didn't necessarily work in this first alpha wave, but the fundamentals still apply. And that is, do not waste your universal imprints. Now, what are universal imprints? Universal imprints are used as an awakening. So if you don't have a hero, like I don't have a spare Zeus imprint lying around, but I might have had her Olympus one lying around, which then I could put in here to unlock Awakening 2 and push me on to Awakening 3. Do not waste them. Like, we don't know all the ins and outs yet. Do not use your universal imprints on rares and epic heroes. There is only 2 epics that I do not have maxed out. That is Mordred and Leonidas. Everyone else I've got rank 5. All of the rares I've got rank 5. Save these for your legendaries. As you can see, outside of Heimdall, which I was very fortunate, no one else is maxed when it comes to legendaries if I sort by rarity. As you can see, a couple I've got 1 or 2 on, but most are not. So, and the Awakening 3 bonuses for a lot of these heroes are very strong, especially the 5s too. So make sure you're only using your universal imprints on legendary heroes. Save them. Do not use them on Ramses early on. You might want him Awaken 5, but please, 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 please don't. Save them for the important and impactful imprints on your legendary units. Try and save it for those big power spikes that you get from your Awakening 3s and 5s. And the last mistake I would say that I made, it's not the end of the world, this one, but is concerning yourself with 2-starring everything right away. Now, why do you need to 2-star everything? Well, the final Fafnir boss on 151, there is a built-in multiplier. That multiplier is affected by the number of 2-star stages you've cleared. So if you haven't 2-starred anything, you will have a lower multiplier than someone that has. What exactly that is, we don't know, but it is an encouragement to two-star them. Now, for me, early on, I took the stance of, I don't want to have to come back to these floors, so I'm going to two-star everything straight away. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it did slow my progression. One of these is used like cunning units only, and I was like, I don't have cunning units. So I spent a while farming stages to try and get a cunning hero, and actually I would have got it eventually. I was probably better off just pushing on through and then coming back to it. Now, I was the first to clear the cavern in the end, so I had a couple days to come back and finish off some of the things that I had missed, some of the more niche specific ones that I wasn't able to do first time round. So what I would say is just keep going for as far as you can. If you can two-star a stage, if it's easily done, let's say this one with 2 wisdom heroes, and you've got 2 that are leveled up and invested in, do it, fabulous. But don't panic about it or worry. Just move on, just keep going. Eventually you will come back and you will clear them very easily once you've got level 60s and things like that. Anyway guys, that is it from me today. I hope you have found this useful. Take care and look after yourselves. Work hard, but as always, play harder. And I will see you in another one soon. Cheers.